Here we are outside number 1 Smithery. It's now summer 2010. Building works have been going on for nearly 2 years now, and the project's now at that wonderful, exciting phase and moment when we're starting to put objects in cases. The pipe bending floor is now much closer to completion. We've removed all the protective coverings that were here during the construction phase. The forge, the furnace, is now revealed in its 19th century glory. Metal was heated up in this forge, very high temperatures till it glowed red, white hot, pulled out onto the floor and hammered into shape with pneumatic hammers against pegs that were positioned in the right places on the floor. We're going to turn the floor into an area where children and families can learn how this building worked. Using plastic and wooden pegs and not hot metal, we're going to let them bend material against formers and really get an understanding of the purpose of this magnificent part of the Smithery. Today the collections research area is being used as the main transit store for moving the objects that have come here from National Maritime Museum and Imperial War Museum into the cases in the permanent maritime galleries. Justin, National Maritime Museum Ship Model Conservator, is putting the final touches now to Balkan's Victory before it heads into the gallery for its resting place in one of the big cases.
I've been involved with the project moving a large consignment of ship models, initially for display, into the galleries, and subsequently we'll be moving over 3,000 ship models into the reserve collections here at Chatham. To move a model of this size involves an awful lot of people, specialist packers and shippers, the conservators that are involved in preparing the model for transport. We had to lower the masts so that it would actually fit into the crate and fit into the building initially, or leave our building comfortably. At this moment in time, we've actually managed to raise the masts and carry out some minor alterations to the rigging. And now the next step is to transfer from its packing baseboard onto its display baseboard. Again, that's a difficult time because the model has to be carefully handled, lifted, and then maneuvered into position.
We're now in the courtyard, and the juxtaposition between the fine lines of the new build structures and the old historic building are becoming very apparent, and it's a wonderful effect. It allows us to interpret the history of the building, for people to see what a wonderful industrial historic structure this is, and at the same time appreciate the difference of its transition into a gallery for National Museum objects. Here is the Farringdon painting of the Dockyard. It's one of the great icons of Chatham, and we've used images of this painting in galleries all over the place in the Dockyard, and here it is on the wall, ready for visitors to see. It's a fantastic painting from a viewpoint that you can't get. It was painted by a chap called Joseph Farringdon in a studio. He never came to Chatham. He did all of this from individual perspective drawings of the buildings that were done by a master mast maker and then sent up to London to be converted into this fantastic topographical painting, and it's so accurate, it's fantastic. The second icon for Chatham in this gallery is the Dockyard model of 1774, made for King George III, part of a whole programme of trying to get his patronage for the Navy and mainly funding for the Navy confirmed and secured for the future. He's going to sit in this case here as the centrepiece of an amazing audiovisual programme. Images will sweep up and down this screen, sweep across it, and we're going to take people through a journey on the model, a journey that King George III made in 1782 to the Dockyard, and we're going to show where he went, what buildings he saw, and then actually prove to our visitors that those buildings are still here today and they can do the same journey themselves. We're now in the touring gallery in its final stages of preparation for the Stanley Spencer exhibition. We've installed temporary walling. It looks very much like all the rest of the walls, but it's a fantastic system that we can take apart and reuse many times in many different configurations. We're just beginning to put some of the Dockyard tools that are going to back up the Spencer exhibition into their position, getting the really heavy stuff in long before the fine art goes on the walls.
One of the great things about building a project like this is obviously the integrating the old with the new. It's quite challenging in the fact that you're putting something so new against something so historically old. It's really rewarding for me to see it at this stage now. I'm quite excited to see the end result, especially now that the museum have got their exhibits going in.